And I look down on my phone, and I go, I knew that Elon Musk was right. This shit's a simulation, man. I knew it, man. and I look, and it says Kanye West for president. I go, and I'm supposed to fight in what, 5 days?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Simulation for sure, man.
Niko Pajarillo here with Fox Sports Australia alongside New Zealand Warriors legend Shaun Johnson, and we're in Miami ahead of UFC 314. When you're in Miami, first port of call has to be the one and only Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. Jorge, thanks for your time, brother. Really appreciate you coming on the show. Now, Miami, tell us a little bit about the city, because we have been blown away ever since touching down here.
How long have you been here now already?
We've been here a bit over a day.
A day? Okay, okay. You've seen a little something. Miami's an amazing city, built by, let's say, it's built by the people for the people. You know, it's built. A lot of this money came from like immigrants and people that had just gotten here, and minorities. A lot of them in Miami. You know, so this city just has this air. Not if you're visiting and vacation is fine, but something about Miami that you really get is that you come here and you could really make the American dream happen. You know. The ways our laws are set up, the way the commerce, the culture, everything, you could really come here and start like an empire. And a lot of people have come here and start empires, you know, or bring their empires back. So Miami's definitely a city for the go-getters. Obviously, the beautiful women that you know, I'm sure in the 22 hours that you guys are here, you might have seen one or two. The food is amazing. The weather's crazy. You know, but we don't have like mountains to ski in, so it's the only thing we're missing.
Pretty happy with the weather.
And good thing we have tons of sharks, but we don't have like the white sharks really. They're just at a certain period they'll migrate through here and they'll pass through. But we don't have the white sharks like you guys, man, because that's a whole other level.
So you can go down to South Beach, you can go along the beach anyway, jump in the water carefree?
I wouldn't say carefree.
No.
Because we do have a lot of sharks that do bite. You know, we have, but in South Beach, you should be good. I've never even, all the years of my life I've gone there, never got a bit. But for surfing, right? Like the places in Florida for surfing, for some reason, they're like in the top of the country, even over Hawaii for shark bites. Yeah. So Florida gets, we're number 2, 3, 4, 5, and like 6 in the country for shark attacks.
Okay. Wow, okay.
So, you know, and it's bull sharks, the ones that be doing the damage, you know? So it's not the big white ones, but still, they're going to wreck you, man.
That's gnarly. We'll stay away from there. Now, let's go back to the people. You spoke about the people that built the city. What's it like for you to fight for the city? I guess your career was built on their support, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, they're your people. What does that mean?
It's amazing, you know, because I started here, and then I would say, especially because the sport last picked up here, I would say compared to like New York or California or even other places. So what that meant was I got famous in other places, like super duper famous, way before I ever got famous in Miami. And in the good old book, it says, you know, you're always like last in your cities when you're always profit last in your city, you know, like your city where you come from is always like last to like kind of embrace you. And that's kind of true, you know. I was famous in Japan, I was famous in New York, California, Texas, all these places. And in Miami it was pretty cool, and I actually enjoyed it because I wasn't known like that. So I could come kind of home and like, you know, go out to eat and chill and relax and have like a conversation. Like every once in a while somebody was like a MMA fan. Be like, yo, Jorge Masvidal, wow, I can't believe I just met you and I'm here vacationing. So it was pretty cool. And then that changed overnight. Where I can't even go to a grocery store, you know, and it's not. It's a great feeling though, because everybody here that knows me for the right things that I got after. I put the hard work that it took, you know, the sacrifice that it took to get here and put our city on display. So I love the love I get from my city, man, and I think there's like nothing bigger to represent the whole community here, the Latin community, all the minorities, everybody here, the whole Miami, you know.
I love it, bro. Love it.
What does that mean, and what does that feel like when not only when you're walking out to represent these people, but how does it feel to I guess be a symbol for that? And I might go to you on this, Shaun, as well. I mean, you played in front of sold out arenas, in front of New Zealand, playing for your country like that. What does it mean to sort of carry the flag of your country, your city like that?
Well, I don't want to act at all for 1 second like I'm on this same level, but I'll speak to it on the same tone that when you have people that you represent and you feel a sense of support and achievement, like you're doing something right for them, there's no better feeling in the world. There's no better feeling in the world. And the run that we had, the run that we had in 23, where we felt our nation, you know, get behind us as a team, that will forever live up here. That will forever. And I'm sure you've had those moments throughout your career, right? That you can pinpoint and you can go, damn, that was a night. Like that was special. You know, and they're beautiful memories. They're beautiful ones. So hearing, you know, Jorge speak about his, like I'm sitting here going, far out, well, what are mine then? You know, what does it feel like for me? So, yeah, really, really cool to hear that there's somewhat of a parallel there. There's somewhat of a crossover with, you know, what Jorge has been able to do, what I've done in my path, and the meaningfulness behind it and the people that we represent.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, loved it, eh?
Samoan?
Nah, bro. I'm Kiwi, so New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah, half Asian though, half Lao.
Okay.
Yeah, so I grew up in New Zealand, played the sport I loved from a kid, and
that's the best. The God gives us the talent, the ability we could do what love for a living.
Yeah, so
and that is to me like
it's a unique. It still baffles me now that at the end of the day we got to make bread off a sport something that we just loved.
Yeah.
We love to do.
Same here. It's just, I'm getting paid to fight.
You know,
it's
you know what I mean? I got paid to play rugby league.
I used to do it for free, and you would have done it for free too, because it's just you're so fun, you know.
Yeah, so it was Buzzy sitting here, sort of reflecting on that. Yeah.
What were some of those moments? I mean, you mentioned, Shaun, like there are moments where you can't, I can't believe that I'm representing my city like this. I mean, I imagine there would have been like a lot of kids who you inspired, and you yourself, Jorge. What were the moments that stick out for you that made you feel like, man, I'm making my city proud here?
I got a bunch of those. You know, before I got famous, though the whole city didn't know me, there was still a lot of love from the city.
Yeah.
People that followed like Kimball Slice, they knew me that the fights took place here in the backyard. So I had a lot of that. You know, like a small cult following throughout the city. So I would always get like inspiring messages. Like I can still remember where. On my personal video blogs and YouTube, people have seen me go from like very fat to very skinny, you know? So it's like, not only do I say that, I might fall, I might, you know, lose my way, but you could always get back, and you should always look to get back, you know? So I've had like a lot of fans, and this is one that's touched me. It's like fans that are like way overweight, and all of us, they've sent me like, look, this was me.
Wow.
You know, at 300 pounds, you inspired me. I saw your journey. I started following all your videos, and I started documenting mine. And they'll show me like a documented thing of like 6-8 months. They're just like sending to me like, look, you know, and that is like, boom, that hits hard as that's like when you get the check in the mail, it's an amazing feeling. Like, wow, I can pay for what I love. But this is like a different feeling. You know, not saying that it's better or nothing, but it's just like, when you get something like that, it's overwhelming. Like, man, I inspired somebody to do something positive like that. Just be myself, just playing this game, you know? So it's nuts. I love that one, you know?
Yeah, that's like a byproduct, eh? Like, and probably why that sort of stuff means so much is because we don't intentionally set out to do that, right?
Exactly.
Like, I'm much the same. Some of the messages I'll receive around something I've come out and said post-game, where maybe I played poorly to start the game, and then you come back, maybe you start a fight poorly, you come back, you finish strong, right? Something, there's a theme throughout a game, there's a theme throughout a fight, and then you talk about that post-game, and then someone relates it and brings it into what they're doing day to day, or a struggle they're going through day to day and how they got through it because of what they saw. And when you sign up to play, you sign up to fight, you don't think about that. No. You don't think about the effect you're going to have outside. That's just a byproduct of being you. And being real genuine and relatable, and that's something that I've admired watching you, you know, throughout your career, brother. Like, just so transparent, so relatable, so normal. None of this sit up, try be something just because you know we're not morphed. We don't get shaped to be, you know, what the status quo should tell us to be. You know, so that is so relatable, and that's the stuff that I love. Yeah, that's the stuff I love too. Yeah.
Well, it relates a little bit about, I mean, there's two relations there, like, because a person who that reminds me a little bit of is the guy that's fighting this weekend, Alex Volkanovski. Every time I chat to him, he's always talking about his people, the people of South Coast, New South Wales. You know, he comes from a small town. Everybody thinks that Alex Volkanovski is this big superstar, and he, you know, he was the featherweight champion for near 5 years. He was undefeated.
One of the greatest ever.
Yeah.
Lace up.
But he's from a small coastal town in New South Wales, and he's always fighting for those people. And I guess, you know, it's fitting that he's here in Miami, a place that's so proud of its culture and heritage, right?
Yeah. I hear you. We start to mention Volk, and I hear you start seeing you nod. Talk to us a bit about what you've seen from him, what you admire about him, and what you see heading into this weekend.
I saw Volk fight live in Australia. Maybe 11 years ago, something like that, 10 years ago, 8 years, it's a long time. So long that I don't remember exactly. I remember watching him beat the crap out of this guy, but his wrestling was like so fluent and stuff. And then, you know, I remember I was like, man, that was a good fight. So at some point later on, I bumped into him. We were at the thing after the fight, and I started talking to him. And I was like, brother, wow, man, I've never seen an Australian that could wrestle. No offense, you know, ever wrestling. I was like, and I told him just like that, I'm like, dude, you got good wrestling, man. Never seen an Australian wrestler. You wrestling background? He's like, no, mate. I was like,
No, man.
I was like, all right, cool. And he was like, very like, nah. And he didn't say nothing else. I was like, whoa, what's your background? He's like, oh, just MMA and some rugby.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's and I was like, all right, bro, yeah, whatever, man, sure thing. And bro, long and behold, he's like, I see him like 2 years later, and he's like completely destroying everybody, and then he just took over, man. He beat, you know, in his prime, one of the other best featherweights that I think ever lived, Max Holloway. You know, another all-time great, you know. I thought the first fight was close. I thought the second one, Max actually won. I was there live for it. And the third one, Volk won, like, super duper decisively, just like putting a nail on that coffin, you know. So that was crazy to see. And then all the other fights he's had after that, at 45, he's made him look like easy, bro. He's had tough moments, like which one was it? No.
Brian
Ortega, right?
Yeah,
like,
the choke.
Beating the crap out of Ortega, and then all of a sudden they had him in that guillotine. I was like, oh my goodness. So Volk is one of my favorite fighters, you know. That being said, he has no easy task coming up this Saturday. That's going to be a tough one, you know. Diego, those first 2 rounds is like full bull, young, considerably bigger, but he doesn't have the same skill set and experience, obviously, as Volk, you know. So it's still a very exciting fight. I kind of see it like if this guy could get to Volk in the first 2 rounds, it could be very good for him. But I also see that once it gets out of the first 2 rounds, the guy's chances start to drop dramatically because Volk is just so good everywhere, you know. So I'm eager to see how he comes back. Yeah,
well, that's what Volk was saying. He was saying that nobody realistically outside Islam Makhachev was able to outclass him for 5 rounds, and realistically, the only chance that Diego has is if he catches him with a great shot or knocks him out, you know, in the first 2 rounds, something like that. And I truly believe that. I mean, Volk over the course of 5 rounds is probably one of the best we've seen pound for pound.
Yeah, I mean, he could wrestle, he could kick, he could punch, he has great ground game, great stand-up, does not get tired, doesn't fade, good chin. It's just, the sport is so unforgiving, you know? He went, and it sucks because in like boxing, you would never hear about this, like, oh, this champion at 168 pounds, his opponent fell off, so the champion from 160 pounds is gonna come up and fight him in 11 days notice. It's because, you know, for numerous reasons we step on. One of them, because most of the time we don't get compensated when we do our job, so we have to do outside things like this and get more money, more exposure and things like that. But that kind of, you know, put Volk at a disadvantage. You know, you're walking into a camp, somebody's been training this whole time, you're not, and it showed in that fight, you know. And then the next fight, he fought one of the future all-time greats and Hall of Famer, Ilya, man. This is a guy that I've been talking about for a minute. That guy's like no slouch, man. I got lucky that I got to train with this guy a lot early in his career.
Really?
So I already knew what he was bringing, and for a long time I was saying, this guy's gonna be a world champion. Ooh. I just myself, having said all that, never thought he would have beat Volk the way he did, you know. So it's I have still a lot of questions for Volk. I know Volk is still one of the very best in the world, but this Diego Lopez fight is gonna show us how back Volk is, you know. Because if he's at his best, not even Islam, because I thought he beat Islam in the first one. I was like very close. As far as damage goes, I go more based off that than if like, okay, you take me down, you hold me down, but neither of us get damaged, and you're holding me for like 3-4 minutes, and then finally I get away, and when we get away, I punch you in the face hard. I got you winning. You know, because I'm like, what was all that for? If you're just holding and just using all your strength and energy to neutralize you and me, because you're not punching, you're not making damage, and then when they do get up to their feet, the other guy does crack you, I always see it like that. That's what I'm leaning towards, you know, as far as judging. So the first fight for me was very close, you know, and Islam is one of the very best in the world, if not the very best pound-for-pound guy in the world, you know.
Jorge, you're best situated here right now to help our audience at home understand and elaborate a little bit on what you sort of said there about Volk gets through the first 2 rounds, Lopez chances dramatically drop through experience. What does that sort of experience look like? Is it making the right decisions sort of when fatigue starts to set in as you get later into the fight? Or is there another element there or another dynamic that makes you sort of think that way?
Me personally, with Volk and watching Volk, it's just that this guy, he has a good read on people, but as he really gets off that first round and he makes all these adjustments and he's been taking pictures in his head and he's been like feinting here, feinting there, getting the reactions, moving, and then he judges the speed and the distance, he really starts to turn it up and you see it. He just starts to like, okay, now I know that if I throw this hand, his natural reaction is to move on this side, so I'm gonna start kicking on that side, you know, and he starts to do things like that very well that I see him doing, you know. I'll give you an example. Let's say the first one he was going like jab and low kick, and then, you know, jab and low kick, and then all of a sudden it looks like he goes jab, and it looks like he's gonna go low kick, and he'll throw like a right hand, you know, because he's already been, you know, like prepping the guys for that, and he has a really good know-how for this, you know, and then he mixes that up with the wrestling, which just drives the people crazy, you know. You start getting picked apart on the feet, and all of a sudden I'm on my back now.
Now I've got to deal with that. Now I've got to deal with that.
Now I got to waste energy to get back up to my feet. Now when I get back to my feet, I'm thinking, is this guy going to take me down?
Yeah, okay.
So now I'm starting to like, I'm not going to let this guy take me down here. And when you start, dropping your hands to defend the takedowns, boom, you get cracked in the face, and you realize you're in the fight, man. And that's why I think Volk is one of those special guys, because everything that I just said, he could do. You know, he could switch it up, he could step on the gas, he could be defensively sound when he needs to be. I'm just very interested to see how this fight goes. Like I said, Lopez is a bull, you know, no slouch on the ground either, so I don't, and this is not a guy that you want to grapple with him too much in the beginning, because he's very explosive, great submissions. So I don't think Volk is probably going to maybe wrestle with him too much. I think he's going to probably keep him more on the feet and maybe be a little defensive the first round, 2 rounds, get his feet under him, get his bearings under him, and then I think Volk maybe will start to open up after that. As we all know, I think Lopez is going to come right out the gate.
Yeah. And that time that Volk's had away, how much of a factor does that play into sort of feeling out the first couple? Or did you ever have any sort of time away where you're like, okay, you know?
Definitely had time away. But in this case for Volk, he needed it. Yeah. Coming off off his first knockout, you know, should have been like a year to 6 months that you take off, because it was a bad one. You know, he caught a head kick, and that was his first time out. And from boxing, which has been around longer than MMA, so I always listen to like the boxing coaches, what they would say. They always say, you always take, if you ever, especially your first knockout, because it's not just how your body feels and stuff, it's also your ego, your mind. Like you've never been knocked out, and now all of a sudden you taste what it's like to be mortal. You might not be the same again. You might be a little gun shy and that. So they would always say 6 months to a year to take off. Volk is an animal machine. He, after the Islam fight, he was right back in there, you know? So I'm glad that now, after the Ilya fight, he has taken this time to take it all in, get his brain right, his body right, his spirit right, and then go back out there and be the animal that we know.
Yeah, but that's the sort of mentality that he's got, and if there's anybody who can speak about that, it's you, right? I mean, on that
it's not always the best mentality, but yeah, it's, you know.
But I mean, if somebody's been called up on late notice, I mean, it was that very card that he fought Max Holloway the second time. Remember, you cut what, 20 pounds in
6 days.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I mean, you guys have a similar mentality of like, yep, I'm ready, let's go.
You know, and it gets us in trouble, you know, and we're chasing things in the sport, so it's like, it's worth, to me, it's always worth the gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, but could I have, like, would I have rather they gave me like 8 weeks to prepare for that fight instead of 6 days, and would I had another belt at home? You know, it's something that I always like debate now in my head, you know?
Do you regret that?
Yes and no. See, when me and the UFC were negotiating, it was like 8 weeks before the fight, 7 weeks. We couldn't come to an agreement. I wanted more money of the money that I was bringing in. So from the pay-per-view, I didn't want more money from the company to just give me a front. I wanted more on the back end.
Yeah.
I wanted a certain number. They wouldn't budge. They wouldn't budge. They wouldn't budge. They said, hey, we're going to go with Gilbert Burns, considerably cheaper, you know, and that's what we're going to do. And I'm like, because that's what they do, you know. They're always going to have another guy that they could just get cheaper. And I was like, f it, bro. F you guys, whatever, man. You know, let's see. I hope that turns out well for me, you know, and that's how it ended. 6 days before the fight, blessings of God Almighty, they weren't able to pull it through, and they had to deal with me again, you know. So it's 6 days to go. They have to save the show. They know that they're the first sporting event back on TV on a massive way. Like, nobody's on TV right now. Yeah. It's not a live venue, but at least it's you know, there's like components of that and this and that. So they had to do. They had already spent so much money on the advertisement and everything. And I was like, well, remember that money that I wanted then? I want more now. Shit, I got to do it in 6 days, and I got to cut 20 pounds. I hadn't been training. You know, I was going to, Dustin Poirier was actually going to fight Dan Hooker, and I'm thankful that he had that fight, because I was only going to the gym just to hop out DP. I would do like 3 rounds with them, 4 rounds with them, and then I'd leave. I was so depressed that I wasn't getting the fight that I wasn't training. Yeah. So it was like, this is nuts, bro. So I told them, this is my XYZ. If you guys make that happen, I'll make the fight happen. And they gave me what I wanted and then some. You know?
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, there you go.
On the money side, but it is that question though. Yeah. It's not like at night I don't lay there and you know, like, damn. Yeah.
That would have been nice up front.
Yeah. If I would have, because man, I almost beat him that night on 6-day notice. He didn't. I walked out without a scratch or a care on me. Yeah. I broke his nose. I hurt him, you know, and I did get tired. You know, there was times I got tired, but had I had 8 weeks, who knows, right? And it'd always be one thing that I'll be like, damn, who knows, was it worth the money or the belt? Because at the same time, you know, we don't get those opportunities like that ever, you know? Yeah. So for me to have to have him literally by the balls and be like, look, if you don't pay me, good luck. Go find somebody else that's top rated in the world. Hey, right? I was number 1 in the world at the time. Yeah. You know, that's gonna cut 20 pounds in 6 days. Go all the way to Abu Dhabi in the middle of Corona, you know, because you also have to pass all these Corona tests. Good luck. And I did all of that. And then on top of it, when I'm over there in Dubai, you can't even leave your room right there. They got you like, you open the door and there were like guys in ET suits will come out, sir, please go back in your room. Literally like ET suits, it's crazy. And I go back in my room and I can't believe I'm about to fight, but I was just back home dealing with Corona and I'm here fighting. And I look down on my phone and I go, I knew that Elon Musk was right. This shit's a simulation, man. I knew it, and I look, and it says Kanye West for president. True, man. So good. And I'm supposed to fight in what, 5 days? Yeah. What's going on? Simulation for sure, man. The simulation went haywire on me, man. Yeah.
But I mean, you still saved the show. That I think still remains. I think top 5. Highest selling pay-per-views of all time.
So you know, and on that, on the monetary side, I always thank UFC because they took care of me on that fight. They really did their job. They compensated me for it. So on that end, I have nothing but praise for the UFC on that end because they, you know, it took a lot of negotiation, but it got done. You know.
Yeah, they're good yarns, bro. So I'm recently retired, figuring out what I want to do next. Can we start talking a little bit about what you got going on? You got Gamebred going on. Sir. What does the next little while look for you, bro? What do you got going on?
Right now, putting on the most violent fights in the world, you know, and what I think is take it back to the way it started. No gloves. No gloves. I let the guys protect their hands. They got hand wraps, they got gauze and tape so they can protect their hand as much as they want, but no gloves. Another thing that happens with no gloves, besides more cuts and knockouts, is way more submissions. Because now you don't have, you know, this 4-ounce glove on top of the tape, the gauze, the tape, the gauze, the tape, the gauze, preventing you from getting to locks, you know, because a big part of you finishing a submission is how strong your lock is, you know, or if you could even get to that lock, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you have somebody's back, and I just grab your glove. It's friction on friction. It's gonna be hard to break that, you know.
Yeah.
And now I can, you know, start doing things, and I can just stall here and chilling. You try doing that when there's no glove. It's very hard because I go hand on hand, even though there's tape and gauze. With the sweat and it's just the tape, the hands slip. So now I could get to a position that I could finalize with more, you know, chances, you know, instead of them just, you get to these positions where the guys kind of just, they both know what's going on. One will grab the glove and they'll stall out. Now it's like when there's no gloves, there's a lot more submission. So it's just way more action, you know, more cuts, more knockouts, more submission. So I love it. It's gonna be the future of the sport, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like NFL with no pads, which is rugby league. It's the future. It's the future.
That's it.
Let's go. And do you have? Is there local fighters? Is it like you want to start giving exposure to some boys?
No,
some
we've had numerous guys. We've had guys from all over the world already compete. Yeah. Junior Dos Santos is our current heavyweight champion. He beat Alan Belcher for the title. Great fight.
Yeah.
We got a couple more belts, and hopefully this year we'll be doing 185, 170. But I get guys from all over the world, you know. If they're a free agent, you know, they're out there in the market and they're violent, they're a dog, and they want to get after it. We look for those guys, book them, and, you know, match them up, you know.
Yeah, well, speaking of somebody who's got a bit of time on his hands right now, former athlete, competitor.
Don't
Shaun,
you dare. Don't you dare.
Come on, man.
Nah, bro.
You going to sign up or what?
Stay in my lane, bro. Stay in my lane.
I will take care of him, brother. I'll give you. Listen, brother. You are going to be our Australian poster boy. We're going to take care of you, brother.
I might look the part,
I'm going to bring you taxi cab drivers from Tijuana, brother. I'm going to pay these guys 12 packs and like 15 tacos are gonna be like, yeah, anybody.
Shaun, you can take it.
I probably still can't. That's the thing.
That's how we're gonna do it first. We're gonna get you to like 6, 7, and 0. Then we'll start getting other rugby players.
That's it.
Yes, that's that promotion mentality. I like that.
Come on, brother. Then before you know it, I'm in Australia with this guy. It's gonna be easy to sell out a stadium.
That's
what are you talking about, man?
Go to Auckland
Bring it over, bro. We got you. We got you.
We're going to all. That's it. It's game over.
All around. Jorge, what a pleasure it's been. We can't wait to see what happens next for you. We can't wait to see him join your promotion.
Thanks for the chat,
that's
bro.
it.
The man.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna bring this guy over.
Can we not? Can you cut there? No more.
I got him like 5 taxi cab drivers lined up. And then after that is 5 tomato cans. We get him to 10 and 0. We get him to 10 and 0. Now we're selling.
Now we're talking.
We're going to Auckland. We're selling that shit. I was calling Izzy. Hey, Izzy, you gotta buy the VIP, bro. This guy's from here. All right,
after this, I'm gonna stand there and do this pose, like I'm going like that. No, the man, bro. The man.
Enjoy the fights.
How much you weigh right now?
What am I about? 88, 90 kilo.
90 kilo. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you be.
Don't worry, I'll be dropping a bit though.
You'd be like 170.
170.
170. Okay. Yeah. 74 kilos.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah.
I'll get there. Jeez, what are you doing?
Yeah, if you're in 90 kilos now, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Far out. Is that how much you guys cut sometimes?
Well, the thing, once you start, you know, I don't know how you guys' training is, but a lot of our training is cardio, so you're just going to lose weight naturally.
Yeah, naturally.
You know? Even when we're doing like power-oriented stuff, there's still cardio.
Yeah.
You know, so you're always going to lose weight. So just throughout the workout, I would guarantee you get down to like 80s.
Damn.
Easy, you know.
Low 80s
Maybe not low 80s right away, but immediately just like middle to like high 80s. And then as you get closer to the fight, if you're going to drop to the 70s, then you get to the low 80s, and then you just make that weight cut. You just lose that water in like a 14-hour period, right? Let's say the weigh-in's at 9 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. Thursday night at around 7, 8 p.m., I'll start cutting my weight, you know? And I'll go to sleep maybe like 2 pounds over, so I'm not dehydrated. I'll wake up at 6 in the morning, finish the last 2. Yeah. Get on the scale. Done. And then whatever I put back on, you know, when I used to cut at 55, I used to put on a lot of weight and cut off a lot of weight. So I'd get down to 156 pounds. I'd get up to like 184 in a day, like without even trying, bro. Without even trying, you know?
Yeah. Far out, that's crazy.
You got the boss on your side, so he'll look after you.
Oh, how good's that? You got this, bro. We're going to New Zealand. We're going to Australia. This is my guy. I didn't know he wanted to fight. Eventually, I get him to 10 and 0. Give me 2 years. This guy will be 10 and 0.
It'll be a title fight eventually. Shaun Johnson versus Dan Hooker. We can't wait to see it. Gamebred Promotions. Appreciate your time.
No worries.
The man, bro.
Great stuff,
The man.
man.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Anytime,
the man.
brothers.